The Woman in the Alley at Christmas Eve. By Herman Fridsma. Fiction. Copyright Herman Fridsma. Author Herman Fridsma. The Woman in the Alley at Christmas Eve. Content. Preface 3. Now 5. Then 7. Present 20. Epilogue 26. Summary 27. Author Herman Fridsma. Preface. The creative work titled The Woman in the Alley at Christmas Eve is a fictional story related to the surrealistic psychological drama genre. The story The Woman in the Alley at Christmas Eve is a story about a homeless young woman called Mary Milestone with an illness in a terminal stage who is at a quest to find her baby daughter who 5 years earlier was taken away from her after birth of the baby. The story follows the woman at the evening of Christmas Eve during the last hours of her life. The Woman in the Alley at Christmas Eve is a technical written story with complex psychological and emotional characteristics and time jumps so the complete character of Mary Milestone could be developed and shaped from out of the logic of the storyline and her personal life. One of the keys of the story is fact that Mary Milestone has a special relationship with God, so spiritual aspects are an integrated part within the storyline, especially during her ordeal. I placed the story in a surrealistic environment to show a contrast between compassion and the naked reality of an egocentric world with egocentric people and a world that looks down at dropouts. Elements of compassion are placed in a surrealistic atmosphere where elements like the wind and the trees play a role of importance next to God and elements beyond the natural. The naked reality and egocentric world shows the hard reality of facets of today's world. The contrast between compassion and the egocentric world and the naked reality was needed to develop to give the story around Mary Milestone a deeper psychological and psycho-emotional meaning. The story of Mary Milestone at Christmas Eve is also a wink to Christmas and Jesus because of a twist in the storyline which comes to conclusion in the final stage of the story. Another point of importance is the egocentric world and hypocrisy of groups of people who prepare for Christmas Eve and Christmas while a human being is suffering and being neglected. This contrast is important at the background of the story for readers who want to look this deep. Another point of importance is fact that Christmas Eve and Christmas in our world has a commercialized character while it from out of the Christian tradition was meant to be focused at the Day of Light, the birthday of Jesus of Nazareth. Elements of these facts play at the background of the story if readers are willing to think this deep. As told, the story The Woman in the Alley at Christmas Eve is technically written from out of the by me described context and transformed and shaped into the world of Mary Milestone and her personal story. The Woman in the Alley at Christmas Eve I could write as a non-fiction story with a fictional character, but I did choose for the approach I did work out to plan, develop and shape to the story of Mary Milestone as it finally got produced, so prose and light poetry are part of the story and storyline as a mixed and emerged unity. November 15, 2018. Herman Fridsma. Email, herman.fridsma@gmail.com. The Woman in the Alley at Christmas Eve. Now, the wind is howling, and if you can hear well, then you could hear the voice of the wind howling and screaming at you. Go to the alley. Go to the alley. The she is. Please do go to the alley before it is too late. Please do hurry and go to the alley near Willow Street. Rush. Rush. Rush before it is too late. So much pain. So much sorrow. Don't be too late. The wind howls and howls harder and harder, but nobody hears the wind because all the people are home while celebrating Christmas Eve with friends and or family, or by themselves while having a good time with food, movie and song at this windy, cold, rainy and dark late evening December 24th. The streets were abandoned and empty. Street lanterns gave some light while a stray cat was running to seek shelter and food. The weather temperature was just above 0 degrees Celsius, but because of the wind it felt like a freezing temperature. Nobody knows about the tragic and sad story of the woman who is suffering and lying in the alley while near dead, and those who had seen the poor woman had neglected her because they only did mind their own business and their own egocentric lives, even at this day before Christmas at the dawn of light. The wind continues howling and screaming at this surrealistic evening. The evening before people celebrate the birth of Christ, but most people have forgotten that it is the day of the Lord Jesus, the day of light. Now December 25th is near, the day of Christ. Who will notice the broken woman who is abandoned by every living soul while her life slowly flows out of her being and physical body, and she starts to slip away for a journey of no return? The wind keeps howling and howling, so maybe you hear the voice. It is the voice of the wind that is trying to reach you at this surrealistic evening where things beyond the natural are happening, and a broken woman fights her last battle, the battle of life. It is the battle of Mary Milestone to fulfill her quest while living her ordeal. Then, earlier that evening, a much neglected looking and smelling dark blonde woman with a plastic bag, worn out shoes, an old grey coat and an old black knee-length dress came in town. She had walked for 4 days to be here. Mary Milestone was coughing, and she had dark rings around her hollow eyes, and her face was pale and sunken. Mary had not eaten for 2 days since she 4 days ago had left the homeless shelter for homeless people. The local people in town near the mall didn't notice Mary because they were all in a hurry to go home for the Christmas Eve celebrations that evening. The shops were all decorated in Christmas style, but Mary had no eye for all beauty around her, and she too did barely notice the rushing people nearby who completely neglected her. Mary felt drained because of exhaustion, fever and her lung condition, which were part of her sickness, but her mind and heart felt heavy because of the burden she carried with her for more than 5 years. The burden of her lost baby girl who she never wanted to give up, but who was taken from her that many years ago, but now she had a fair chance to see her child, and that was why she was here in town, to hope to see a glimpse of her long-lost child. Mary's mind was a bit blur, and at moments her mind was distracted, so she faced moments that she could not think straight while she with difficulty continued her way. Mary was struggling with her inner conflicts and emotions and her inner pain while walking with difficulty through Main Street of the town where she hoped to find and to see her long-lost child. "I can't go further anymore. I don't have the strength anymore, and there is nobody here to help me, and I clearly do feel I will die soon. I'm scared, but I must not give up, not now," Mary mumbles to herself while coughing blood and slime which she spit out. Mary did fear dead, and she feared to die before completing her personal mission, but she continued to fight and to survive no matter. She felt weak while she sensed that her body could collapse if she would not better take care of herself. Mary had found God not that long ago while she was fighting for her life, and almost died in the shelter for homeless people some weeks ago. The thought of God being with her had given her strength, and since that moment her life changed because she felt she could trust God, and because she was disappointed at people who had only used her or hurt her during her life, so she did not trust any living soul anymore. The thought of her daughter made Mary kept on fighting to survive so she could continue her personal quest to find her child daughter and to see her before she would die and close her eyes. "Go on, Mary, you are almost there. Don't give up. I'm always with you," a soft but warm-sounding voice said to her. Mary looked around herself because of the unknown voice, but she could not see anybody except for some people being busy with themselves at this early evening of Christmas Eve. Could the voice she just heard be the voice of God? She wondered. Mary coughs again. She shivers and feels tired and very ill, but for a brief moment she smiles no matter her ordeal, because for a moment she felt like being touched by a strong power. It was a power that gave her some extra strength no matter her physical and mental agony and exhaustion. "Finally, if I'm lucky and if God is with me, then I will see my child, my baby child," she mumbles to herself while tears started running out of her eyes. These were tears of pain. It was a pain that Mary felt deep in her heart for more than 5 years. The pain came straight out of her heart via the tears which spontaneously were running out of her eyes. Mary's tormented mind was longing for so long to see her long-lost child, who had to be 5 years old by now. My broken heart, please God do heal my broken heart, please do heal my pain. I feel I am dying and that my time is almost gone, so please God help me and let me find my little girl so I can see her before I die." Mary did pray with a whispering voice from her cracked lips in almost silence. The wind and the trees nearby. Mary did hear the cry and the prayer of the mentally and physically broken woman. The wind and the trees felt compassion for Mary, who was tortured by her inner pain, while no human being near Mary did offer her help, because all people nearby Mary neglected the clearly by pain and exhaustion suffering woman called Mary, while they, the rushing people, were being busy only with themselves at this early evening, the evening of Christmas Eve. The trees and the wind disliked the non-caring behavior of the people, so the bold trees and the wind around Mary did respond at all they saw around Mary with a singing voice while saying, "Egoistic people, egoistic people, don't you see the poor woman in pain? It is Christmas Eve, why don't you help, oh egoistic people? This is a great shame. Shame on you. Yes, shame on you, oh wicked people who don't care while a human being is suffering and in deep pain. Why don't you care? So do shame. Shame. Shame." The trees and the wind continued their singing voice while the wind did touch Mary to show they do care and that she isn't alone and abandoned. "We love you, Mary. We love you, Mary. So let go all of your pain. No more tears and do not fear, because soon there will be no pain." Mary did not hear the song of the wind and trees, but her head was spinning because of voices inside her head were for a moment overwhelming her. "I hear so many voices, maybe I lose my sanity and maybe I become insane," Mary mumbles to herself. "Trust me, Mary, soon you will find your peace. You are not insane. I will guide you if you let me in," the soft voice she had heard earlier told her. No matter some doubts, Mary slowly did surrender herself to the soft voice, which gave her a warm feeling inside herself, and she felt some comfort because of that voice. "I must go on and find my baby girl. Please God, do help me find her. Please God, if it is you I hear, then please don't let me down, because I feel desperate and I feel I will die soon because I don't have much energy left anymore. So please God, do help me," Mary said and begged to the voice she did hear while she spoke with a broken voice while her forehead was glowing from the fever, no matter the cold weather conditions she faced while she continued her way in the open air. Mary did cough and spit blood and slime at the ground. Exhausted as she was, she stumbled further. She could barely think because of her health condition, her exhaustion, her agony and inner pain which she tried to suppress. Mary felt instinctively driven forwards towards her child at an unknown location somewhere here in town. She stumbles without thinking step by step further while neglecting the hunger and thirst deep inside her and while neglecting her tiredness and her sickness. She continues her way and went through the gate of a small park. She was never earlier being here in this place, but she felt good being here in this town where her daughter would be, and the thought of her daughter gave her extra strength while neglecting her physical needs. "There is a bench, Mary. You must rest. You have a long way to go, so please, Mary, go to the bench and do sit down. I will watch over you, Mary," a soft but pleasant voice said to her. Mary recognized the voice as the voice she already had heard earlier when she was walking at Main Street here in this town, but she could not notice the person behind the voice, so at first she thought it must be part of her imagination and exhaustion that would made her hear voices because of her tormented mind playing tricks with her. Deep down Mary felt that besides of all voices she at times could hear inside of her head, that the soft and pleasant voice had to be the voice of God. She already had started to surrender to that voice, and now she crushed her last doubts, which gave her a better feeling because she felt she could trust the voice which she had identified as the voice of God. Mary looks closer through her tired eyes, and then she sees a free bench not far in front of her near a street lantern. "I must rest for a moment," Mary mumbles to herself, and she coughs several times while spitting out salvia with blood and slime. The bench in the park and the street lantern saw the stumbling near-dead woman slowly approaching them. "Please, dear Mary. Please, dear Mary. Come and do sit on me. I will give you some comfort, so please come here to me." The bench spoke to Mary while inviting her to sit because the bench felt deep pity for the woman in pain. "I will give you some light, dear Mary. I will give you some light, dear Mary, so you can see. I will break the darkness. I will break the darkness so you can see. There is no real darkness. There is no real darkness because it's Christmas Eve, so please, dear Mary, please to believe." The street lantern spoke to Mary while shining brighter, so more light got spread in the park near the bench. Mary slowly walks towards the bench near the street lantern and sits down at the bench while feeling happy that she could take a break. Mary, tired as she is, closes her heavy feeling eyes. "God, I'm so tired. I'm afraid I will die without having seen my child, my little daughter. I feel I can no more because I feel weak, sick and exhausted. I feel broken and my heart feels so empty. I am so scared I will die alone. I have so much pain inside me and I feel so lonely. Please help me, God, and please forgive me my weakness at moment I die," Mary mumbles softly while she was sitting at the bench, and tears slides down from out of her eyes over her cheeks because she feels alone and abandoned by every living human soul at this evening of Christmas Eve. The inner soul of Mary's core being, while in deep pain and agony, screamed and cried in silence. When finally does come an end to all my suffering and pain? Why do I have no normal life like normal people? Why is there nobody who truly loves me and accepts me as the person I truly am? Why am I abandoned and alone while I feel my life slipping away from me? What did I do wrong that I deserved this rotten life? My God, please don't let me die here while being alone. Please don't leave me now I am in this deep pain. I feel like being shredded apart from inside out. The physical pain hurts so bad I don't know how long I can live with it. Please God, do let me live. All I want is to see my baby girl. Mary, I see your tears and I sense your pain. I do hear you, Mary. You are not alone and I will help you so you find your inner peace, but you must be strong and have faith, the soft-speaking voice said to Mary. Mary Milestone felt a bit more comfortable with the pleasant soft voice which seems to be present at moments of serious distress and emotional and physical pain. The voice gave Mary a good inner feeling and she started to truly trust the voice which she now slowly had accepted as a present second voice next to her own voice. It was for so long that Mary was longing to something or someone nice next to her so she would feel less lonely and be less lonely because of her miserable and empty life. Full loneliness she lived the past years of her young life. Mary Milestone was only 21 years old, but the street life Mary lived the past years made her look like 40 years old. At moments when it was cold, then Mary melded herself at the shelter for homeless people in London, but normally she lived her life at the streets while sleeping in parks, alleys and other places she could find. At moments Mary was lucky she lived in squat houses and other demolition houses in the slums. Mary was always looking for foods to eat in hotel and restaurant containers or other containers. Begging for change so she had some pocket money was also part of her life, and at rare moments in times of extreme crisis she sold her body for money, but always with protection. Mary Milestone had no real friends in her life except of a few other homeless people she knew from her street life, but these people she never considered as trusted friends. Mary had learned not to trust anyone because even past so-called friends did steal from her, and she was victim of rape several times over the past years. Mary Milestone had learned to adapt street life the hard way, but she was never fallen that deep that she used hard drugs. At times Mary smoked some marijuana as she had money to buy it, or she drank some beer, but she was no drug addict and she was no alcoholic. Street life had hardened Mary's personality and she was totally focused at survival of the streets while hoping that one day she could escape the hard life of her ordeal. Over the past years Mary Milestone had learned to suffer in silence and to endure physical and mental pain by herself and in silence. She felt often alone and abandoned by the world, and she knew that majority of people saw her as trash or a loser and a dropout from society. She could clearly sense it when people looked down at her. There were moments that youngsters had spit on her and had called her a stinking whore and scum. At rare moments she was also beaten by aggressive people, which violent assaults had brought her twice into a hospital. There were mug shots of Mary at the police station because of a case of shoplifting that went wrong, so she got caught for stealing of food because of being hungry and thirsty that time. Mary Milestone was seriously ill. She had a neglected far advanced stage of tuberculosis because of the tough conditions she faced during her street life period. Mary always tried to maintain her personal hygiene as good as she could do given the circumstances of her life. Mary Milestone felt very bitter about life and where it had brought her over the past years, and there were lots of moments that Mary Milestone cried in silence because of her ordeal and felt inner pain. Mary sat at the bench in the park with her eyes closed while tears were still running out of her eyes. She had her tired and burning eyes closed for a few minutes. Mary was shivering because of the fever and the cold weather conditions. She coughs and spit out blood and slime, which she did instinctively. Mary did open her reddish eyes and she took her plastic bag where she had a plastic bottle with some drinking water in it. She took out the bottle and brought the bottle to her cracked and dry lips before she took some sips of the cold water, which brought her back to her senses, after which she put back the bottle inside her plastic bag. Mary knew that she was dehydrating and that she needed acute medical care, but she neglected all because she was determined to find her daughter, because she knew she was dying. Mary Milestone was since age 12 an orphan, and she lived in several foster homes since that moment because of her closed personality and her temper, so she was transferred several times to different foster homes. At age 15, Mary Milestone got pregnant because of sexual abuse and rape in one of the foster homes where she lived at that moment in time. At moment Mary got pregnant, the foster parent who had sexually abused her was taken into custody, and he got prosecuted and jailed after found guilty as charged based at clear evidence of sexual assault and rape. No matter fact that Mary's pregnancy was caused by sexual assault of a foster parent who frequently had raped her as part of the sexual abuse, Mary did not want to terminate her pregnancy. Mary, from out of her own personal perception, saw the growth of new life inside her womb as a sign of a new beginning and start of a new life for herself and the baby. Mary Milestone wanted to be a good mother for her unborn child and give her a better life as the life she had lived in the foster homes. At age 16, Mary Milestone gave birth to a healthy baby daughter who she called Ruby Milestone. Mary felt that the birth of her baby daughter was the best that had happened to her in her life. Based at a report of a child welfare social worker that stated Mary as a minor was emotionally unstable to take care of her baby, her case was brought to court, whereby court sentence the baby was taken away from Mary and given into care of child care services. Mary Milestone felt very bitter after her baby was taken away, and she was placed in a mental hospital for a year because of her declined mental condition after she was being forced to give up her baby, so she mentally collapsed but recovered after being a year institutionalized, so she got released from mental hospital. Mary Milestone never gave up help to find her baby after the system had taken away her baby girl from her, and she had sworn to find her the day her baby was taken away. Mary Milestone was sitting at the park bench while her thoughts from out of her inner mind were projecting images of a week ago when she got a message from a trusted older woman from childcare service who always had felt a weak spot for Mary, who frequently stepped by in regards of her taken child in hope of good news. The woman from childcare services had found out that the baby Mary was seeking for 5 years was adopted, and no matter secrecy and confidentiality of documents, the woman of childcare services had sent a note to Mary Milestone at the shelter for homeless people where she knew Mary was temporarily institutionalized because of the cold weather. Mary got the message via a staff member of the shelter, and she started to prepare herself for the journey to find her lost baby daughter, who by now was a young girl age 5. Mary had collected food and water, and 4 days ago she was starting walking to the town of her baby girl to try to visit her daughter at the address she had in her pocket. At moment Mary left the shelter for homeless people, she felt very sick, but she was determined to find and to see her daughter no matter her personal health condition. Mary smiled a bit by the thought of the note she had received last week from her friend at childcare services. She was very excited at the moment she got the good news about her lost baby girl. Tears were again popping up from out of the reddish eyes from Mary, because by now she felt very weak while sitting alone in the dark at this cold evening at the bench in the park, while knowing she could die without her having seen her own daughter. "I'm with you all the time, Mary. Don't give up, I will help you," the soft voice said to the mentally and physically broken woman at the bench in the park. "Thank you, God, for being with me so I won't give up, and thank you for helping me. I thank you from out the depth of my heart. You know I have almost nobody, and you know all about the hard life I had. Please do forgive me my sins, because I feel I won't survive this day because I'm dying," Mary replied to the unknown voice, which she by now had identified as the voice of God reaching her at her moment of despair and deep felt pain. "Mary, you are forgiven, and you shall enter my kingdom if your time is come to enter it, because you are a good woman and you have a pure soul, and I know that," the soft and warm-sounding voice told Mary, and he did touch her while speaking his words to the woman in agony and pain. Mary Milestone felt being touched, which gave her extra energy and a moment of feeling of peace and inner happiness. "Do rest, Mary. There is still time," the soft voice continued while Mary closed again her tired, heavy-feeling eyes after she did cough several times while spitting pure blood without slime at the ground. "Yes, do rest, dear Mary. Do rest. We love you, dear Mary. You are not alone. We are here all time long, so please do hear our song, because we love you, Mary, so dry your tears. We love you, so have no fears," the wind and the trees in the park did say with a singing voice. Mary Milestone had not always faced an unhappy, hard and painful life, because she was born as a single child and her parents had loved her deeply. Mary had her tired eyes closed all the time, and she felt her life force slowly declining while she in silence cried. She was longing for sleep, but instinctively she knew that sleeping was no option. She was coughing again and did spit out some blood. Mary's inner mind showed projections of her childhood time. Mary saw her father John and her mother Catherine. Mary had always loved her parents, and her parents had always loved her deeply, without conditions, and they had done all to protect her and to take care of her and to make her feel happy and beloved. Mary's parents had done all to help Mary develop into a smart, assertive and happy child. Mary Milestone had a happy childhood till death of her parents destroyed all of her happiness. Mary saw mind-projected images of herself as a toddler while she was cuddled by her mother. Mary saw her parents kissing each other and kissing her because showed love and affection were always part of her happy childhood. She saw images of her father at a playfield for children where he encouraged her to play with other children. Mary saw herself at primary school while being part of a school theatre play at grade 8, which had made her parents feeling proud of her. She saw herself with her parents at the funeral of her grandmother Sonia, who she had loved because her grandmother was part of her life and was always good for her. Mary saw herself with her father John and her mother Catherine stepping in a car the fatal day of the deadly car accident. She saw her with her parents singing songs while the car drove at the road and later got hit by a drunken car driver who came from the opposite direction while causing the fatal car crash that killed both her parents and that had wounded her so she got hospitalized. Mary saw herself in hospital recovering from wounds, and she saw herself laying flowers at the grave of her parents. Mary had no other family, so she was placed in a foster home. The death of Mary's parents and the deep emotional pain she had felt when her parents died had Mary's inner self broken and had changed her personality and feeling of happiness. Mary was crying again. Tears did wet her face while Mary saw her father appearing and coming towards her. "Mary, my lovely Mary, please don't cry," John said to her while kissing her forehead. "Daddy is here, baby, I love you," her father continued while slowly fainting away. Mary's mother Catherine appeared and put her arms around Mary. "My lovely baby, Mummy loves you so much, Mary," her mother said while kissing Mary, and then she too started slowly fainting away. "Mommy, Daddy, I love you so much. I miss you, Mommy, I miss you, Daddy, please don't leave me alone here. I'm in deep pain. I have breathing problems and my chest hurts so much," Mary said to her slowly disappearing parents. "I miss you, Mommy and Daddy, I miss you so much. It hurts. Please, Mommy and Daddy, please take me with you," Mary cried. "Soon you will be with us, my lovely child. There will be no pain or suffering anymore," her mother said while her fainting hand did stroke Mary's hair. "Your grandmother Sonia is also here and she does tell me she loves you, Mary," her father told Mary. "Go to your daughter to see her and to know about her. Be strong, Mary," both parents said to Mary while disappearing in thin air. "Mommy, Daddy, I love you so much," Mary cried while tears were running fast out of her tired eyes because she felt so much inner pain because of her missing her parents deeply. Mary felt in deep emotional pain and she felt exhausted after the images of her parents had disappeared. She breathed heavily while coughing blood and slime. Instinctively Mary knew she had no much time left on earth because of her physical status and fainting life force, which she clearly could feel. "We love you, Mary. We love you, Mary. You are not alone. We love you, Mary, so stay strong," the wind and the trees said to Mary while the wind did touch Mary all the time. A star was shining bright in the sky while breaking the clouds, so the star became visible, and it was as if the star was shining for Mary because the light of the star slightly did touch her. Mary looked up to the sky, and at moment she saw the single star shining at this evening of Christmas Eve. Her broken heart felt a moment of warmth, and a small glimpse appeared at her mouth while her eyes did twinkle briefly. Mary felt that this was a sign given to her by God, which gave her a good feeling deep inside her. For moments Mary did stare at the star, and it gave Mary a feeling that she was special and that she was facing a moment of truth now. Her felt dead was nearby. "Thank you, God," Mary said softly with her broken voice. "You are special, Mary, you deserve it at this special evening," the voice said softly in return. "Time is running, Mary, you must go so you can see your daughter if you find her," the voice continued. Mary Milestone wiped her eyes and her face, and then she opened her plastic bag and took out the bottle with cold water and started to drink some of the water. Mary carefully put back the bottle inside her bag after she had satisfied some of her thirst. Slow and with some difficulty Mary stood up from the bench in the park that had given her some comfort and rest. She did cough a few times without spitting blood and slime. "Goodbye bench, goodbye street lantern, thank you for having given me some comfort and light," Mary said, while knowing that her time on earth was running out and that she would never see the bench and the street lantern ever more inside the park. "Goodbye, dear Mary. We love you." "Goodbye, dear Mary, do go with God," the park bench and the park street lantern said in return. Mary Milestone took the paper note out of her pocket with the address of her 5-year-old daughter and read it again as if she had not read it hundreds of times the past days, as to memorize it in her memory in case she would lose the precious paper note with the address of her daughter written on it. For Mary, this paper note was what had driven her forwards to find her long-lost child in this town. Mary Milestone smiled and started to stumble further in the direction of the address while feeling guided by God. Mary needed all strength to keep her tormented body moving to her destiny, and the thought of her daughter gave her the strength and determination to continue her quest. The thought of her daughter warmed Mary's heart while she entered the second gate of the park in order to leave the park, while knowing she would never ever return to the park again. The star above the sky was shining brighter as moments before while Mary was on the move. Mary deep in her heart knew that her suffering and pain would be over soon. "Goodbye, dear Mary. Goodbye. We love you, Mary, we won't forget you. Go with God, dear Mary. Go with God," the trees of the park said at moment Mary left the park. Mary Milestone was shivering and she was clam of sweat while stumbling in the cold because of the cold and fever. Mary knew that her tormented body could not last for long anymore and could not continue keeping her alive. Mary did focused herself completely on her child and on God, because she was determined to see her baby girl again, because deep inside her broken heart her daughter was still her baby girl no matter her age of 5. Mary knew that her daughter Ruby could not remember Mary as her natural mother because of the forced separation from her mother soon after her birth, but that did Mary not stop to continue her mission to find her child after all these years of searching and inner pain. Mary knew that with God's help she would succeed finding her child and seeing her one last time before she would close her eyes for the hereafter with no return. The star above the sky was shining bright and dominated the sky above Mary, who was stumbling slowly to her destination. Mary Milestone was now shuffling and stumbling while walking that way at Willow Street, and she knew she was nearby the address where she expected to see her baby daughter Ruby. Mary's head was glowing from fever that did run through her tormented body, and she was sweating while feeling not good, but she continued her way. There was no living soul at the streets anymore, so all was silent and cold while Mary continued her walk at Willow Street. While passing one of the houses at Willow Street, Mary could hear children singing "Silent Night, Silent Night, Holy Night." The children inside the house nearby Mary did sing. Mary felt tears running over her cheeks while she thought of her childhood because of the Silent Night song. She saw images of her with her father and mother sitting near the Christmas tree while singing that song all together. The memory of that moment made that Mary felt deep pain inside her broken heart while she near dead was stumbling in the cold all alone at the abandoned Willow Street. For a moment Mary stood still and gasped for air after she had some coughs and spit out some slime and blood before continuing her slow walk, while each step brought her pain because of the exhausted stage of her tormented body. But Mary neglected the pain and the exhaustion and feelings of lightheadedness while she stayed focused at her mission, which she wanted to complete because it was her love for her daughter that gave her extra strength. All the time the star above the sky was shining bright while sending Mary extra energy so she could continue her way. "You are doing fine, Mary. You are almost the way you must be so you can see your child," a soft and familiar voice said to Mary to encourage her to go further. "God, I don't know if I can go further. My legs hurt and I feel so terrible. Each step is like torture, so much pain. Please God, do help me one more time. My heart bleeds if I can't see my baby girl before it is my time to leave Earth and to die," Mary said with tears in her tired eyes and with a slightly broken voice that sounded soft because she had almost no strength left anymore and started to cough up blood and slime which she spit out. "Don't give up, Mary, don't give up. I'm with you all the time," the voice said to Mary while encouraging her to not give up. Mary Milestone suddenly felt being touched, and for seconds light was all around her and she did not feel the pain and exhaustion of her body anymore. Mary felt new energy flowing through her tormented body, and she felt grateful for the little gift she just received while she knew it was God who sent it to her. All the time the star above the sky was shining bright and strong. "Thank you, God. I thank you from out of the depth of my heart," Mary said while she continued her walk in Willow Street. "We love you, Mary. We love you, Mary. We are with you all the time. Please feel no sadness and feel no pain. We are with you all the time. the trees of Willow Street and the wind said to Mary, who was near the alley of Willow Street. The present. Mary Milestone did enter the alley near Willow Street, and she knew that her baby daughter would be in one of the houses at number 14 of Willow Lane. Mary's heart was bouncing all the time while she near dead but with extra energy did search for the house where her lost daughter would be. She felt no pain of her body anymore, but she still did cough blood while she stumbled further. Mary was, no matter the physical condition of her body and the mental condition of her mind, not scared any more that she could not complete her goal to find and see her daughter, because she felt strengthened by her feeling of having God at her side, which gave her the extra drive to go on, and the other strength was her willpower to continue, because of her strong will to find and to see her baby girl Ruby. Mary, oh Mary dear. Go to number 14. Go to number 14, you will see what is lost can be found, so go and see. The wind and the trees in Willow Lane did whisper while Mary stumbled around to try to find the correct house where her daughter would be. Mary Milestone was looking at the pretty brick-built single-family houses she was facing right now at Willow Lane. She was orientating herself via the light of the by a few street lanterns illuminated street in the alley called Willow Lane, and via the light coming from the houses where families were together because of Christmas Eve at this hour of the night. Mary felt excitement at moment she found house number 14 at Willow Lane. She rushes herself as fast as possible, no matter the poor status of her poor physical condition, while rushing her way towards the house, which made her heart bouncing faster. Mary's poor physical condition and her weakened legs made she did fall hard at the ground. Mary started to bleed at her knees because of the fall, but she managed it to crawl a bit and to get up, and more careful now she stumbled further towards the house. For a moment she was forgotten her moments of suffering and her struggle to survive in order to stay alive related to the past few days. She felt being close to where her baby daughter Ruby would be. This sentimental moment made that Mary shortly cried while she stood there in front of house number 14 in front of the garden at moment she arrived there. Mary gasped for breath while coughing and looking at the house with her eyes full of tears. She wiped her eyes and smiled a bit now she was this close to find out if this was the house where her baby child Ruby would be. Mary Milestone did tremble a bit because of all felt tension, and she looked around her to find out if anyone had seen her. After she was clear she did enter the path to the main door via the gate at the garden. The wind was howling hard, but Mary did not feel the cold of the wind. Mary did not go to the door, but she went to the window of the living room of the house, which was an open window with no curtains in front of it. She did sneak as silent as possible to a corner of the big window of the living room. Please God, let me see my child so I can die with a happy heart, Mary said with a muffled and broken voice while also suppressing coughs, so nobody would hear and expose her as an intruder in the garden while she was standing near the window of the living room at private property related to the house and the house owners. Do not fear, Mary. I am with you, the soft voice said. Thank you, God. I will try to be strong. "Thank you very much for all of your help," Mary replied to the voice with her own broken voice. Mary Milestone was totally unaware of fact that the star above the sky was now shining extra bright and strong while constantly sending energy to her, because Mary was totally occupied by her task to be as close as possible to her long-lost daughter Ruby. Mary Milestone felt calmer by now while she opened her reddish eyes more open at moment she tried to peek inside the living room via the corner of the window in a way so she could not be exposed. This activity did cost Mary lots of energy, but she felt happy she succeeded till this far. Mary saw a modern designed and well-furnished living room. She noticed a big well-decorated Christmas tree prominent standing inside the living room. Mary also saw a dinner table served with all kinds of foods on top of it, and she noticed two adult people sitting and eating at the table. Mary assumed that the man and woman she saw eating at the table were the adoptive parents of her baby girl Ruby. For a moment Mary thought back to the moment that she herself was forced to give up Ruby more than 5 years ago after she was born. This memory did hurt Mary's broken heart, but she tried to suppress her feelings of emotional pain. Mary estimated that the people she saw eating were in their mid-30s, and based at what she saw of the house and the furniture she thought that the people were typical middle-class people. This knowledge gathered by her first impression observations gave Mary a good feeling to know that if her daughter would live here in this house with these people, that she was living with people who could give her a good life. Mary also considered fact that her daughter Ruby probably considered these people to be her true parents. Mary felt that she herself was unknown as the natural mother to Ruby. The euphoria of the found house and what Mary saw with her own tired and broken reddish eyes inside the house was of short notice, because Mary felt very disappointed and sad that she did not saw a 5-year-old girl being present inside the living room. Mary Milestone felt devastated. The emotional pain inside the broken heart of Mary was increasing, and she wanted to leave the place and die in silence. At moment Mary wanted to leave, she noticed that the door of the living room got opened and a cheerful girl aged 5 years old stepped inside the living room while running to her mother, who sat at the table, to kiss her, after which she sat down at the table while the mother gave her foods to eat. Mary's heart was bouncing fast because of the excitement of seeing her 5-year-old baby girl, who drew all her attention and all filled her with joy no matter her state of exhaustion. Mary saw that the slim and energetic young girl she now observed had dark blonde hair like she had, and was wearing a short blue dress with white socks and brown flat shoes. Tears were spontaneously running out of the eyes of Mary. "My baby girl, my Ruby," Mary mumbled softly with a muffled voice to not get heard. "Yes, Mary, it is your baby girl Ruby you now see inside the house," a soft voice said to her. "Thank you, God," Mary replied in return, while she felt that her physical strength slowly was declining. "God, may I look for a few extra minutes more before I go?" Mary asked to the voice she acknowledged as God, while she muffled started to cough and to spit blood and slime. "Yes, Mary, you can be here some extra moments," the voice said softly. "We love you, dear Mary. We love you for sure. You have found your baby child, dear Mary. All love that is pure. No sadness and no pain. Go with God, dear Mary, and feel blessed while enjoying your moment in time. Be warned, dear Mary. Time is running out. God is with you, dear Mary. Be strong and have faith." The wind and the nearby trees said while the wind became stronger and stronger. Mary Milestone enjoyed the extra time she had while looking at her child, who was now a young girl with behavior like she had when she was of same age. Mary felt good to witness the good relationship between the adoptive parents and Ruby. All became too much for Mary because she felt overwhelmed by all kinds of emotions, so she cried in silence while knowing that she would never hold her baby daughter Ruby in her own arms, and while knowing that Ruby had adoptive parents she saw as her natural parents. Mary did cough and spit blood. She suddenly felt tired, and the pain came back with all intensity like she had felt never before. All the time the bright star above the sky was shining bright while being lined up with Mary, but nobody knew or noticed it. "Please God help me, I'm scared to die here at this place," Mary said with her eyes full with tears that slid downwards via her cheeks because she felt deep fear and agony while crying of pain. "I will help you, Mary, I will be with you all the time," the voice spoke softly to Mary, who was in a clear state of despair. "Thank you, God, because I have nobody who cares for me or who loves me for who I am, and I know I will die alone while nobody cares. I am in so much pain," Mary said with her broken voice. "I am with you, Mary, and you are welcome in my kingdom, so don't be scared, Mary. You are not alone," the voice spoke to Mary, who started to calm down. "Dear Mary. Dear Mary, don't feel sad and in pain. We do love you, dear Mary, so don't be sad or with pain." The wind and the trees spoke to Mary. Mary Milestone, who barely could walk, took a last peek through the window and saw that Ruby, her daughter who was living in the house, had seen her and was smiling at her, so Mary smiled back in return no matter her own pain, while feeling a glow of warmth inside her heart. The brief moment of intense eye contact between Mary and her daughter made Mary feel happy. Mary stumbled slowly away from the living room window and went to the gate of the garden. Mary Milestone left the garden and stumbled to a street lantern in Willow Lane Alley. Mary felt her life force very weak, and she sat down under the street lantern. She felt she had no energy left anymore to leave this town, so she sat at the ground while her back was supported by the street lantern. Mary took her bottle of cold water out of her plastic bag and started to drink the last bit of water that was left inside the bottle, and then she put the plastic bottle back inside the plastic bag as if it was a great treasure she had with her. It was strange, but no matter her agony and physical and mental condition, Mary felt relatively calm while she knew that her moment of death was near. "God, I'm scared to die alone," Please God, don't leave me, and please forgive me all my wrongdoings during my life. Can you forgive me, God? Mary asked God directly. You are already forgiven, Mary, and I will be with you all time long, the voice said to Mary. Thank you, God. Do I have some time left before I die? She asked God while again coughing blood, pure blood this time. Your time is almost over, Mary, so prepare yourself to go, the voice answered Mary. God, I thank you for being with me all the time so I won't die alone, Mary said with her broken voice. Mary Milestone took with her last energy a pen and a notation block out of the plastic bag and started to write a letter to her daughter Ruby. Dear Ruby Epstein, here a note from your birth mother Mary Milestone. I love you deeply, and you must know that I was forced to give you up at the moment of your birth. I am happy you and I saw each other today at night of Christmas Eve, the day before Christmas. I know I will die today, but I want you to know that I love you and that I did search for you all these years and that I never had given up finding you. I hoped we would have met under different circumstances and that I could visit you and your adoptive parents frequently so we could have known each other better. I am happy I saw you today and that I could see you have good and caring adoptive parents. I now must stop writing because I don't have energy to write further anymore because I am very ill and I will die today. Know that I am your real mother and that I love you, my lovely baby girl Ruby. I love you with all my heart. I have found my peace with God and I will watch over you in heaven. Please do forgive me. You are 5 years and 4 months and 2 days old right now. I hope that when you are older you would understand that I love you and never gave up hope to find you and to see you because of the love of a mother for her child. Your mother, Mary Milestone. Mary Milestone had barely energy left to put the written letter in the pocket of her old greatcoat while she spitted blood, so some blood got at the letter she had put away. Mary knew that her time was over and she had peace with her moment of dying no matter her young age. God, thank you that you let me see my baby girl and that you are with me while I die here alone at the streets, Mary said while she felt a deep inner pain inside her heart because of all people who had left her in the cold and who had refused to help her in her moments of despair and agony. You are special, Mary, and I do welcome you in my kingdom. The kingdom of heaven, the voice said softly to Mary. Thank you, God, I love you, Mary said while her body started to shake spastically and she started to vomit blood while feeling a terrible pain inside her body, and all the time tears were running out of her broken reddish eyes followed by traces of blood. Don't be scared, Mary, I am with you. Don't be scared, dear Mary, be welcome in my kingdom, the kingdom of heaven, the voice said to the dying woman called Mary Milestone, age 21. Help me, God, I am in deep pain, Mary's voice mumbled while the light in her broken eyes started to faint slowly. The last thing Mary saw before the lights in her eyes died was that Jesus appeared in front of her and put his hands at her front head. Be blessed, Mary Milestone. "Welcome in heaven," Jesus said, and then he smiled and went away. Mary Milestone saw her father and her mother and her grandmother coming to her while she was surrounded by a bright light. Mary stood up and ran to her parents. She did not feel any physical pain anymore, and she was not tormented by emotional nightmares, and she had no longer to struggle and to fight to survive a hard life full of pain and misery, and she was no longer surrounded by people who had treated her like dirt, trash and homeless scum from the streets, and who looked down at her. "Mommy, Daddy," Mary said while she embraced her parents and was crying all the time while her parents kissed her, and tears ran freely, but this time it were tears of joy because of the reunion of the entire family Milestone, and Mary felt happy, happier as ever before. The moment Mary Milestone died alone at the street, a flash of light went through the sky followed by a loud thunder sound. All the time the bright star was shining bright, but now the clouded sky closed and the bright star was not visible anymore, because it was God who had manipulated the star that was mentioned for Mary Milestone during her last hours on earth while she was suffering in agony and in deep pain, and it was God who had sent Jesus to guide her to a better world. A world without pain and misery, which Mary Milestone did enter the night of Christmas Eve, the night she died her tragic death in Willow Lane Alley moments before Christmas, the day of Christ. Epilogue. At Christmas Day, people did found the dead body of Mary Milestone in the alley near Willow Street while she was lying at the ground with blood around her. No matter her moments of extreme pain and agony, Mary passed away and died with a smile at her face, because she had seen her daughter, which was her biggest wish, and she had seen Jesus and her family during her last moments on earth, so she knew truth about heaven, which she did enter at that moment that life slipped out of her body. A police investigation and an autopsy stated that Mary Milestone had died a natural death. The police found the letter Mary wrote moments before she died, and investigation of the name, and also the found written note with the address of the adoptive parents brought the police to the address of the adoptive parents, and they handed the adoptive parents the letter written by Mary Milestone, which was addressed to her daughter. The adoptive parents promised to give the letter from Mary to Ruby at moment she would be old enough to understand all. Mary Milestone got based at the letter and the references to God, a Christian funeral at a Christian cemetery. When Ruby got older, her adoptive parents gave her the letter from her birth mother Mary after explaining all to her. Ruby visits at least twice a year, at the Day of Dead and at the day of birth of Mary Milestone, the grave of her mother, where she brings flowers and prays for her mother, and she also visits the grave of her natural mother at moment she struggles with her own life, because she feels the connection with her natural mother, and she feels her natural mother is with her all the time from out of heaven. At moment that it was Ruby's time to go after a long life on earth, Ruby gets reunited with her mother Mary, who was with her all the time. Author, Herman Fridsma. Summary. The Woman in the Alley at Christmas Eve. Fiction. Genre, surrealistic psychological drama, a Christmas tale. The story The Woman in the Alley at Christmas Eve is a psychodramatic psychological story with a surrealistic atmosphere. It is the story about Mary Milestone, a young woman who is homeless and in a terminal stage of her illness while she is on a quest to find her daughter Ruby, who was taken from her after her birth. Mary Milestone has a hard life with hard times after death of her parents. The tale about Mary Milestone is a surrealistic drama that begins and ends at the evening and night of Christmas Eve. It is the story about the last hours of Mary's life while she is fighting to survive and being determined to find her lost daughter no matter her pain, suffering and fear to die before she has seen her daughter. Mary is special and she has a special relationship with the wind, the trees, a star and with God. It is God who guides Mary on her quest while she lives her ordeal. The end of the story shows that it was Jesus who was with her all the time and that it was Jesus who opened the gate for a better life. Herman Fridsma.